In a bizarre joint interview with Sean Hannity that aired Tuesday night on Fox News, President Donald Trump and Elon Musk claimed that the inflation rate that is currently increasing is actually somebody else's fault.
The massive waste, fraud, and abuse that has been going on, which is leading to a $2 trillion a year deficit. That's what the president was handed on Jan 20th, a $2 trillion deficit. It's insane.
For this fiscal year.
Yeah, we inherited.
Yeah.
And inflation is back. I'm only here for 2.5 weeks.
That was January.
Inflation
You were there
is
for a
back.
week.
Now think of it. Inflation's back, and they said, "Oh, Trump inflation." I had nothing to do with it. These people have run the country. They spent money like nobody's ever spent. They were given $9 trillion to throw out the window. $9 trillion. And they spent it on the Green New scam, I call it. It's the greatest scam in the history of the country. One of them. We have a lot of them, I guess, but one of them.
And believe me, I know scams. I run the greatest scams, the best scams. Oh, oops. But okay, look, I know, Green New scam, right? Except there is no such thing. But hey, look, the inflation, man, it's back, but it's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. Well, on that point, he's actually kind of right. Consumer prices did rise much more than expected in January, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, largely because of things like, I don't know, surging fuel and egg prices. Okay, which marked, by the way, the biggest monthly increase since August of 2023. Prices were 3% higher year over year for the first time since June of 2024. So, yeah, things are getting more expensive. Inflation is up. That said, the president does not control egg prices or gas prices. I mean, George W. Bush had famously or infamously said in one of his press conferences way back in the day, "I wish I had a wand that said no gas, but I don't have it. I don't have it." Yeah, yeah. He didn't have a wand. Biden didn't have a wand, and neither did Donald Trump. Okay, so no, they can't control the gas prices or the egg prices, not directly. Okay, the whole idea that he is a that the president is like a king that sets all the prices, kind of anti-American actually, but not at all rooted in reality. Okay, that said, speaking of not rooted in reality, is his contention that, oh, we spent all this money, Biden spent all this money on the Green New scam. That's what did it. That's why we wasted all the money. You know what that is? Bullshit. Total. The Green New Deal or anything like it never actually passed, so it was never into law. They never did anything like that. Now, that said, obviously, Biden did add to the debt by signing an infrastructure bill, which included some green energy projects, as well as COVID relief. Okay, so yes, that is something that added to the deficit, about $5 trillion in his first 2 years, according to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Now, that said, one of the things that Trump had immediately taken an axe to is the Inflation Reduction Act, which did actually save the government $240 billion due to increased tax enforcement, okay, where they're actually collecting taxes from rich people. And then, of course, the savings on prescription drugs that Trump also, reversed. Okay. And so, that was allowing Medicare to negotiate prescription drugs, which lowered the price of drugs, not only for people on Medicare, but also other people as well who need those drugs. So, okay. Yeah. Now, you want to talk about blowing a hole in the budget, though, right? Republicans are looking to do $4.5 trillion worth of tax cuts that will benefit primarily rich people. Okay, so yeah, that's also a bit of a problem. But hey, we're going to go forward with that. Okay, and I know Elon Musk claims that DOGE is going to find what $1 to $2 trillion worth of savings, so that they can convert that into tax cuts or whatever for the rich. But yeah, you're not going to be able to find that much savings. Okay. Now, that said, let's get back to inflation, right? Which Trump had promised to solve day one. oh man, day one, everything's gonna go down. The milk, eggs, bread, all that stuff, gas, it's all gonna go down. It's gonna go down. Day one. Turns out, oops, nope, that was a lie. Guy lied through his teeth, his pursed butthole mouth. Okay. No, here's the reality of inflation. Okay. A 2023 National Bureau of Economic Research report said that the price hikes were partly the result of government spending. Okay, so all the spending that I mentioned in the Biden administration, but also on factors including higher production costs linked to swings in demand, so supply and demand, the war in Ukraine, as well as COVID-era supply chain issues. Bureau of Labor Statistics, in a January 2023 report, also blamed inflation on the volatility of energy prices, linked to Ukraine, of course, backlogs of work orders for goods and services caused by supply chain issues due to COVID-19, and price changes in the auto-related industries. And then you had an International Monetary Fund study in September that said that the macroeconomic effects, like federal spending, weren't actually to blame at all. Instead, you just had simple supply and demand. But there's also another thing. And you can see that not everybody is agreeing with each other here on these things. But one of the big things, greedflation. Okay, the Groundwork Collaborative put out a study back in 2024 arguing that more than half of the consumer price increases in the middle of the previous year, in 2023, were actually a result of excessive corporate profits, which still remain at all-time highs. In fact, they wrote, corporate profits drove 53% of inflation during the second and third quarters of 2023, and more than one-third since the start of the pandemic. And this is according to just an analysis of Commerce Department data. All right. So, okay, the reality is that all this cost cutting that Musk is doing, he's talking about the debt. Oh, we got to reduce the debt. We're going to go bankrupt. We have the world's reserve currency. We actually technically cannot go bankrupt. Okay. Now we could do a lot of terrible effects if we allow the debt to get too massively high, right? And that's why maybe we should tax the rich more, and also do things that are actually cheaper, like Medicare for all, for example, that will actually cut costs in healthcare spending. I know, crazy, right? And allow Medicare to negotiate for all prescription drugs. That would save us a whole bunch of money. But anyway, no, all that stuff that he's doing right now is not going to help with the debt. It's not going to help with inflation either. Okay. No, what he's doing is he's increasing unemployment and getting rid of agencies that will, that are actually looking after consumers to ensure that these consumers are not getting screwed over by giant corporations like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, getting rid of that actually helped claw back about $21 billion worth of ill-gotten gains, returning it to the taxpayer. Okay. So yeah, none of what he's doing is going to lower prices at all. Okay. And I hate to say it. Well, actually, I don't hate to say it because it's true. Tax cuts for the rich are not going to trickle down. I know. I guess the reason that I hate to say it is because it should be so obvious to everyone paying attention. Okay. They do not trickle down. They never trickle down. Okay. Oh, but you don't understand. It's going to be tons of economic growth if we just cut taxes on the rich one more time. Just one more time. That'll be the magic number, man. Lower that corporate rate to 15%. Then they'll finally trickle down. No, it'll never trickle down. What happens is their glass just gets bigger. That's it. So now this, of course, has Americans saying, hold on, wait, we elected Trump. Why are things getting worse for me economically? Things I thought they were supposed to get better. So let me give you the results of that poll. According to a new Reuters Ipsos poll, 44% of respondents approved of the job that Trump is doing as president, which is down from 45%. Okay, all right. So that's last month. So very, very minor drop. It's 1%. However, the share of Americans who are disapproving of his presidency has risen quite a bit more to 51% compared to 41% right after he took office. So it didn't take long, and immediately a massive increase of 10 points of disapproval. Ouch. And worse, the share of Americans who think the economy is now on the wrong track rose to 53%. That's another 10-point increase since the last poll that asked this question last month. Public approval of Trump's economic stewardship fell to 39% from 43% in the prior poll. So, oops, economically, everybody's thinking we're on the wrong track. And Trump is not doing a good job at all because, of course, you had the tariffs. You have continued inflation, which, again, I can't blame entirely on him, even though tariffs are like a tax that is going to affect average people. It is going to raise prices on a lot of things. And so, that's not going to be good. By the way, when it comes to inflation, specifically 32% of respondents approved of his performance on that issue. And then of the tariffs, it gets worse. 54% of respondents said they opposed the new tariffs on imported goods from other countries, while only 41% were in favor. All right. Now, mostly people liked the Chinese tariffs, 49% in favor, 47% against. It's currently a 10% increase on goods coming in from China. However, the other tariffs against Canada and Mexico, they're not nearly as popular. And if they do go into effect, of course, and you have price increases, that number is going to go way up. Or I should say, the number of people who disapprove going to go way up. His approval is going to go further down. Now, that is something that Donald Trump is going to have to own. He doesn't own the inflation, much like Biden didn't own the inflation that happened under him. Okay? You can't really blame him for that, but Donald Trump cannot blame Biden for this inflation either. Okay? Nor will he be able to blame the massive hole in the budget that his new tax cuts for the rich will, blow into the budget. Okay? Blow a giant hole. And that's going to create a lot of issues, along with the shredding of the social safety net that DOGE is currently in the process of doing. So, at the end of the day, while he doesn't, own this inflation, he will begin to own the other negative effects on our economy, and he'll own it real hard as things start to get much, much worse for us average people. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.